Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Pratijana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Pratijana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Ballabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Pratijana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Shiva Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 3, text 3. Yasmin idang yataschedang
Yasminidam yataschedam
yenedam ya idang swayam yosmat parasmat cha paras tang prapadye swayambhuvam Yasmin idang yataschedang
Yasminidam yataschedam
yenedang ya idang swayam
Yenidam yatidam swayam
yosmat parasmat cha paras
Yosmat parasmat
tang prapadye swayambhuvam
Sampravadaye swayambhuvam
Yasmin idang yataschedang
Yasminidam yataschedam
yenedang ya idang swayam
Yenidam yatidam swayam
yosmat parasmat cha paras
Yosmat parasmat paras
tang prapadye swayambhuvam
Sampravadaye swayambhuvam
Yasmin idang yataschedang yenedang ya idang swayam yosmat parasmat cha paras tang prapadye swayambhuvam
Yasminidam yataschedam
Yasmin idang yataschedang
Yenidam yatidam swayam
yenedang ya idang swayam
Yosmat parasmat paras
Yosmat parasmat paras Tang prapadye swayambhuvam Yasmin idang yataschedang yenedang ya idang swayam Yosmat parasmat paras Tang prapadye swayambhuvam
Yasminidam yataschedam
Yasmin idang yataschedang
Yenidam yatidam swayam
yenedang cha idang swayam
Yosmat parasmat paras
Yosmat parasmat cha paras
Samprapadye swayambhuvam
Tang prapadye swayambhuvam Yasmin idang yataschedang yenedang ya idang swayam Yosmat parasmat paras Tang prapadye swayambhuvam Yasmin idang yataschedang yenedang ya idang swayam Yosmat parasmat paras Tang prapadye swayambhuvam Yasmin, the basic platform on which Idam, the universe rests, Yataha, the ingredients from which, cha, and idam, the cosmic manifestation is produced. Yena, by whom? Idam, this cosmic manifestation is created and maintained. Yaha, he who. Idam, this material world. Swayam, is himself. Yaha, he who. Asmat, from the effect, this material world. Parasmat, from the cause. Cha, and haraha, transcendental or different. Tam, unto him. Prapadye, I surrender. Swayambhuvam, unto the supreme self-sufficient. Translation. This is a part of the prayers from Gajendra. This whole chapter is. The Supreme Godhead is the supreme platform on which everything rests, the ingredient by which everything has been produced, and the person who created and is the only cause of this cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, he is different from the cause and the result. I surrender unto him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is self-sufficient in everything. Repeat after me. The Supreme Godhead is the supreme platform on which everything rests. The ingredient by which everything has been produced. And the person who has created and is the only cause of this cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, he is different from the cause and the result. I surrender unto him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is self-sufficient in everything. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 4, the Lord says, Maya tatam idam sarvang jagat avyakta murtina. Quote, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but everything rests upon my energy, just as an earthen pot rests on the earth. End quote. The place where an earthen pot rests is also earth. Then again, the earthen pot is manufactured by a potter, whose body is a product of the earth. The potter's wheel with which the pot is made is an expansion of the earth, and the ingredients from which the pot are made are also earth. As confirmed in the Shruti mantra, Ito va imani bhutani jayante, yena chatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisangvishanti. The original cause of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and after being annihilated, everything enters into him. Prakriting yanti mamikam. Thus, the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra or Lord Krishna, is the original cause of everything. Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Quote, Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. That's from the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 1. The Lord is the cause for everything, but there's no cause for him. Sarvam kalavidang prama matstani sarvabhutani na chahang teshvavastitaha. Although he is everything, his personality is different from the cosmic manifestation. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, one and different simultaneously, which is Lord Chaitanya is a very important part of Lord Chaitanya's teachings that we are following. So the Lord is the source of everything, but he is not everything comes from him, everything is ultimately annihilated by him, but he is not personally everything in that sense. Just like the example of the earthen pot. Earthen pot's made out of earth, and it's created by a potter, but the potter who makes the pot, he is different from his creation, and ultimately that earth and the pot can be put on the earth, which is the same material that it was made out of, and in due course of time, that pot will break or fall apart and merge back into the earth, just like if you just like if you're in India, those things have changed a lot since the last time I was there. You go somewhere and you serve prasadam and you serve drinks in a clay pot, little clay pot. That's how it was when I was there last times. And those clay pots are, at least at that time, they were not used again. They were used once, and then they were thrown on the pile, and they eventually broke up, and they became earth again, and then they were, at some point, being remade into the pot, like that. So the Lord and his creation are different. And at the same time, the Lord and his, they say simultaneously one and different. So of course, the Lord creates everything, but he's different from it. But another aspect of the one and different simultaneous philosophy, which is very, very important for us, is that Krishna is one of the ways he's one is that he and his name, he and his pastimes, he and his everything, his name, fame, form, pastimes, instructions, and everything like that comes from Krishna are actually not different from Krishna. So that's why the Lord Chaitanya, when he was personally present, for the people in general, he didn't speak high philosophy. People are not. He wasn't having Srimad-bhagavatam classes for the people in general, or speaking very high philosophy for the people in general. For the people in general, he tried to convince them to just chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna, and and try to avoid, the sinful life, because that makes your chanting. If we're sinful, then that chanting becomes ineffective. That's why we follow the four regulative principles. So he convinced people to chant. Everywhere Lord Chaitanya would go and was chanting, people just became completely enamored by him, by his beauty, and of course by the sound of the holy names, and they just joined in. Not only the people, when Lord Chaitanya went through the Jarikhanda forest, where there's lots of wild animals, tigers and deer and all kinds of animals are in the forest. So when he went through that forest, then of course he was chanting also. And then when he came to the place where there were animals, tigers and everything, and he was chanting, those animals, they also started chanting. They also started chanting, getting up and in their own words. I don't know if it sounded like Hare Krishna, but they got up anyway, and they were chanting and dancing in ecstasy. And even the tigers were there, and the deer were there, and the tiger would usually, normal situation, the tiger would be attacking the deer and so on. But no one was thinking like that when Lord Chaitanya came through. They were simply in ecstasy, chanting the Lord's holy names, because the Lord's holy names are non-different from the Lord, and the Lord is all attractive. We say that one of Krishna's names is Bhagavan, right? Bhagavan. Bhagavan means, what does Bhagavan mean? One who possesses all opulences. And what are those opulences? That's 5. Strength. Okay, wealth, yes. So wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, renunciation, and fame. So anyone in this world who is attractive to anyone, and anyone who's at all attractive, they've got some opulence in one of these 6 opulences, and to some degree, not like Krishna, but to some degree. If someone might be, if someone is very famous, then is attractive. If someone is very rich, some people in the world have hundreds of billions of dollars. We won't mention any names, but we know who's out there. Hundreds of, so there's something attractive, even if the personality is maybe not attractive, but just the idea that the awe sort of someone I only have this much in my bank account, and here's somebody who's got 10 million times more than me. So there's something attractive about it. Someone who's super intelligent, someone who has an IQ of 180 IQ, genius level. Unless we're on that level ourselves, then it's extremely, it's very attractive, especially when sometimes there are little young children that actually have a high IQ and can do extraordinary things and have extraordinary. So these things are but Krishna, he has all of these opulences to an unlimited degree. No one is more intelligent than God. No one is stronger than God. No one's more famous than God. Even if you say I don't believe in God, he's famous because everyone knows of him, even if they don't believe in him, they know of him. Fame, strength, knowledge, beauty, or beauty of God, Krishna, or Lord Chaitanya we're talking about. Lord Chaitanya is one of his weapons, is actually considered his beauty. In previous ages, the Lord would appear and he would, if there was some demoniac person, he would just kill them. Krishna, when during his presence, how many demons he killed. But when Lord Chaitanya came, his mood was not killing, destroying, killing the body, but one of his weapons actually is considered his beauty, and everyone who saw him was just completely enamored by that beauty. We was reading the other day, Lord Chaitanya when he was born, when he appeared, and everyone was just, not just his mother and his father and a couple of neighbors. Everyone was coming. Even the demigods were coming to see this beautiful golden complexioned boy, because his beauty was extraordinary. So anyway, the Lord has many opulences like that, and he manifests them to attract us. He's actually very attractive in the spiritual world. Of course, he's very attractive all the time to everyone, constantly, and that attractiveness also for those in relationship to his pure devotees, his eternal associates. That attractiveness is always increasing. You can imagine. We don't really have experience of that in the material world. Something is attractive, and after some time, you kind of, the attractiveness goes away. It's reduced. Something is, food, prasadam, can taste really good, but if you eat, you like a gulab jamun. No, everyone knows what a gulab jamun is, right? The gulab jamuns are very nice. But if you eat one, very nice. Eat two, nice. But if you try to eat 10 together, then it's not going to become very nice anymore, because we don't have the capacity in these material bodies to enjoy like that. But in the spiritual world, everything is so everything's so attractive. Everything's there's perfect. You can eat anything you want. Of course, you're going to eat prasadam or something off of a desire tree. There's no sinful life there. You can eat anything you want and as much as you want, and it's just for pleasure. You don't need to eat. You don't eat in the spiritual world to live. That you're going to survive. Your body needs nutrition. You eat because it's enjoyable. So you don't have to. And Krishna and his beauty in the spiritual world, or his beauty as appreciated in the spiritual world, or in the association of his eternal associates, is always increasing. So just like he's so beautiful, and he has his rasa with, say, the gopis, and so he manifests all this beauty and other attractive features, and and their beauty increases also, because it's just natural reciprocation, and of course then he becomes more attracted to them, and then of course he also increases, and it goes back and forth like that. So everything is everything good, and everything in the spiritual world is good, and everything good that is in the spiritual world is always increasing. It can't happen in the material world. We're so limited. But in the spiritual world, for the liberated souls, it's always increasing. It's always improving. It's always getting nicer and nicer. So there's no question of getting bored or I've had enough of Krishna's beauty. I saw him yesterday. I don't want to. No, it doesn't happen. It's everything just increases because these are spiritual bodies. Um, and then we're talking about the Achintya Veda Tattva. That's how we started on all this. So Lord Chaitanya has given his holy names, which are non-different from him, non-different from Krishna, and because the Lord is all attractive, then the holy names, of course, are all attractive, and because the Lord is non-different from his holy names, so he is also so the holy names are also, he says, has all the potency of the Lord Himself. Shishi Gornitai, Shishi Radha, Braja Vihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Varnashigade, Prahlad Maharaj Ki. The holy names have all the potencies of the Lord Himself, which means that by associating, we may not be able to associate with Krishna personally, because we don't see Krishna personally. We do see Krishna personally, but if in the form of the deity. But we can associate with Krishna all constantly through His holy names. Just by chanting Hare Krishna, we're associating with Krishna. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is dancing on our tongue in the form of the holy name. And so Lord Chaitanya was, as I started in the beginning of the class, Lord Chaitanya, for the people in general, he would convince them by his beauty and by the holy name. He would convince them, the people in general, to just chant Hare Krishna, and they were getting purified by that. And then for others, only a few others, he gave very good instructions, very detailed instructions. Now he only wrote, only thing he actually wrote was the Shikshastika verses, those 8 verses. But of course that wasn't all that he gave. He had his discussion with Ramananda Roy, and there's so much knowledge there. He gave a lot of instruction to Srila Rupa Goswami and to Sanatana Goswami, and told them to take all this I'm giving you and expand on it. He gave some very specific instructions to them. He gave, we're reading, on Sundays we're reading about his instructions to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was actually a Mayavadi, but he convinced them to change to a Vaishnava. So he gave very good instructions there. He instructed also and corrected the wrong understandings of the other groups, not only the Mayavadis, but the Jains and the Buddhists, and there were others too. Oh, Lord Chaitanya, not really instructing him, but using him to give instruction. He with Haridas Thakur. There's a book written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's called Harinam Chintamani, and it's a discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Haridas Thakur. And mostly it's Haridas Thakur who's speaking, but Lord Chaitanya is asking him to explain about the holy names and about the offenses, the 10 offenses to the holy names, and the results of that. When you perfect the chanting of the holy names, then here's what will follow. like that. So that book is mostly Haridas Thakur speaking. So Haridas Thakur, every time he was asked to speak something more, then by Lord Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur would state, okay, you are my Lord, I will speak what you make me speak. So he knew very well that whatever he was speaking was Lord Chaitanya was, directing him from within the heart to speak that. And so in Bhalavacharya, anyway, there were many different personalities that Lord Chaitanya spoke directly to, and some of them wrote lots of books. Rupa Goswami wrote so many books. Sanatana Goswami wrote so many books, and 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 others who Lord Chaitanya may not have directly instructed, but they also followed him. Srila Jiva Goswami, he wrote many books, very scholarly books, so like that. So for those who were inclined then, and who are inclined now and in the future to really study the philosophy, which is important, then all these books are there, which give the basis for why we do what we do. But in people in general are not so inclined like that. So for them, then you chant Hare Krishna, and in reality, it didn't really make any big difference as far as becoming Krishna conscious. If someone got very, very, very attracted to chanting the holy names of the Lord and can continue and just chant it all the time in the right consciousness, then they would become Krishna conscious. You can chant, if you can chant Hare Krishna constantly, you can become Krishna conscious. If of course follow the regular principles and so on, you can become Krishna conscious just from that. But in general, and that's why Srila Prabhupada gave us these books, we need the philosophy. We need the philosophy ourselves. We need to hear these instructions daily, being reminded every day. We're supposed to have a class in the evening every day too. When I joined the movement, we had so many classes. We had classes and short readings and so on. We had every day. It was Srimad-bhagavatam in the morning, Shri Upanishad we read in the morning, something from Brahma Samhita we read in the morning. Bhagavad Gita, of course, was evening. Krishna book was evening. And Bhagavad Gita, yeah. I counted 7 back then. I can't remember what the other 2 were. We had seven different readings or classes every day, and this was in Gainesville when I first joined. So we got a good dose of philosophy, which was good, because it means we know why we're doing what we're doing. It was very important. And when Srila Prabhupada initially tried to get devotees, early disciples, to chant more rounds, 64 rounds a day was the original request. No one can even imagine chanting Hare Krishna 64 rounds a day, or 32 rounds a day. That was the second attempt. So finally, Srila Prabhupada settled on 16 and said, never drop below that. But if someone had a taste and could have just chanted all the time, then maybe the philosophy wouldn't be as vital, but we need it ourselves so we can keep being reminded why we are doing what we're doing. We have knowledge why we do what we do. And not only that, but the knowledge well, we in the Hare Krishna movement, we are presenting ourselves as representatives of Lord Chaitanya. I mean, this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. We are here. We are or will at some point get initiated like that, and we have a duty in relationship to this this movement, to ISKCON, and to Lord Chaitanya's movement in general, and we should be able to explain what is the what is Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. We're representing Lord Chaitanya, so someone says, well, what did this Lord Chaitanya teach? What is his philosophy? And of course we could just say, well, just chant Hare Krishna and you'll know. But again, people, we should be able to explain. And so there's, and of course, that's what these books are full of that philosophy. The one book I mentioned the other day, which is very good, Srila Prabhupada said it was very important. One of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books was the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, and it's all broken down. It's Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. It starts off with the very general philosophy, or the overall philosophy, and then he goes into the breaking it down into the philosophy, talking about sadhana bhakti and other bhava bhakti and so on like that. And then Lord Chaitanya get a lot of instructions, just practical instructions as far as how to live, just people in general, how to live. That book is full of such instructions. So it would be good to read it also. Srila Prabhupada himself said that it was a very important book, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had also mentioned that, and Jaiva Dharma also as very, very important books. And so Srila Prabhupada just passed on the same information like that. And this, just a side note here, the verse from the Brahma Samhita. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. And that's the first verse of the 5th chapter. We only have, the Brahma Samhita actually has like 100 chapters. But there's only one chapter that was ever recovered. Lord Chaitanya found it in one temple, I don't know, when he was traveling through South India. He found it, that it was chapter 5. So what we have when we sing our Chintamani Prakrita Sadma Sukalpa Viksha, all that's from that 5th chapter. And there are, I don't know how many verses in the 5th chapter, but there are, but that all comes from one chapter of the Brahma Samhita, and then the rest of the book I don't know. I've only known of that one chapter being found. But anyway, you see how much is in that one chapter. And of course the Brahma Samhita is scripture, it's Shastra. So anything stated in there, we can understand is directly truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maybe I'll stop here. I've been trying to not go too long, so I don't come too late. But that gives some time for comments and questions and response. So does anyone have anything?
Thank you again for class. It's always nice to be able to sit down. This is one of the most important times of the day for Vaishnava devotees. Inspired with one of the 26 levels of fear. This process of purity, this cleansing process is so important. We'll try to keep it brief. You see so many wonderful points in this verse in which you spoke with. I was thinking of King Charuba. He's trying to get new legends live in the mind. One of the devotees who let's say time convinced. And you talk about his beauty and Charuba wanted to see what Chaitanya would see because he was a king. And what Chaitanya was sannyasi, he didn't want to have to mix like that. And somehow or other, when Dr. saw Lord Chaitanya chanting from a distance, his heart completely changed. And just like we're talking about the beauty of Lord Chaitanya, and how important it is for us to really take shelter of that. I was also thinking this morning, very, very nice to me. I'd like to share something personal with everyone. Which I don't get a chance to do, but I really enjoy doing. When I travel all over the country, I usually like to find places to chant. And I love chanting by the Lord. So some of you may have noticed my enthusiasm this morning. And that's directly related to the chanting, because I got to actually go out to the waterfront this morning and watch the sunrise. I usually get a chance to do that when I'm on the altar. And it's just so blissful, just chanting the Lord's morning, watching the sun come up, and then chanting Gayatri mantra while the sun's rising. It's just such a wonderful, really very enlightening. What this chanting is, it's our heart and soul. I see for myself, in progress like myself, I remember those early days in the century. And sometimes Krishna gives us a taste of this chanting. And when we get a taste for it, it's just Krishna's mercy, it's cosmic mercy. And then he takes it away. And it's like we hanker at it. I want to get that same taste. It's like a drug addict. When a drug addict first takes a drug, every time he emulates taking that drug, he's actually trying to get that first fix that he first had, that first experience, which is it's not pure, but it's just that first, exposure to the drug that's changing it. So similar to our chanting, sometimes we get this initial taste that Krishna gives us out of his cosmic kindness and mercy, and we have to pursue that. It's one of the most important processes. Of course, there's 9 processes in the devotional service, and you can have perfection in any of the 9 processes. But the emphasis is always stressed on chanting the Lord's holy name, whether it's done in kirtan or japa. Like you said, Prabhupada set the standard, of course. He told Mukunda actually in San Francisco. He mentioned this about chanting 64 rounds, and Mukunda's like scratching his head. He can hardly get 16 done. Then he would lower it to 32. Still, he'd okay, finally 16. So we have, we think of Lord Brahma when he first was coming up with the stem to the lotus, and he was trying to create a complete darkness, and then he heard tapa, tapasya. This is part of our tapasya. This is part of our austerity. Austerity is chanting the holy name. It's challenging. It's not cheap and it's not easy, but it is easy. But if we surrender to all those challenges, the benefit will come. But again, it's not going to happen overnight. It's different with each individual, but it's so important to continue and to have faith. And you'll see the results. Thank you again for
Well, I was just thinking about, did Lord Chaitanya, like the people that we mentioned that he would teach, was it more after sannyas, or did he teach, do we know, the more just chanting and ecstasy and kirtan?
The ones he spoke the philosophy
like
to?
Rupa Goswami, I'm trying to get a little time in my head. That was kind of...
Yeah. All of them. It was after he took sannyas, which was still early in his life because he was only 24 when he took sannyas.
Hey Krishna, thank you for class. Once again, I'm seeing questions that will be on live as much as I can. I was thinking of, you said that you were reading at least like 7 times a day, and I relish, this one time, when we can read from like throughout the day, and the importance of reading and more, the variety of your books as well. So, that was really nice to hear that at 7 different times throughout the day, and really nice to hear being very close to that through the variety of books that we have available to us. And it's a spiritual challenge and a beautiful way to do that on a daily basis, to read more books, having a time, to do that, and the Christian book, and the one to read, or listen to the Srimad-bhagavatam, and do more of that along with everything else, because you need that mental tune-up regularly throughout the day along with the chanting. So I really appreciate that.
Anyone else? Yeah, we in our chanting when I was there at the in Gainesville in those days, the rule was that everyone in the temple, we had about 16 devotees living in the temple at that particular moment, and the rule was no one could walk out of the temple room during that japa time. Our temple room was about the size of our DD kitchen here. So you can imagine, it wasn't a big room like this. This is just in a house. I mean, the temple was made in a house, and the room was about square foot wise. It was about the size of our kitchen.
That wasn't people island.
No, way before that. Before that, that house that was the temple then it's not there anymore.
Was that Amarinda's house?
No. Amarindra, his apartment was the very, very first place, and that didn't last very long after it had so many devotees living in it. Everyone got removed. The landlord came in, but then they moved to another place on the other side of the campus. It's about 2 blocks off the campus on the other end, and that's where it was. It was a 2-story house. And that's where it was, at least as long as I was there. And then, anyway, there the japa time meant there were 16 devotees in a room the size of our present kitchen, and everyone stood there for 2 hours or sat there. Well, I stood. I had to stand up to stay awake. But we were there for 2 hours and chanting. And of course, it got loud because you can imagine having 16 devotees in a little room like that, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, jumping up and down, and that was how we did. Of course, we were a bit younger then, so we had energy. We were jumping up and down all morning. But and then we would have our Guru Puja, and we would have our Srimad-bhagavatam class. And the Srimad-bhagavatam class, there's no way you're going to fall asleep during the class, because who was giving the class would keep everyone busy. Oh, Dr. So-and-so, what did I just say? What are some of the characteristics of the Lord in the heart that we just read? Oh, so you had to be on your toes, ready to hear and respond if you did. But that was actually good, because you heard the class. Actually, no one was called Bhakta at the time, Bhakta or Bhaktin. She'll probably introduce that later on. I think it's just a few weeks after I got my first initiation. Then he sent a letter out to all the temples, and he introduced that. Uninitiated men are Bhakta, so-and-so, ladies was Bhaktin. He also said that ladies, unless someone's wife, then you address as mother so-and-so, like that. That was all. I was still in Gainesville when all that was introduced like that. So it was. So I was never actually called Bhakta, just my other name. But shortly after that, she'll probably introduce that, and it was nice. It was nice. It was a way of recognizing someone who's practicing Krishna consciousness, who's dedicated their life to Krishna consciousness, and even if they weren't at that moment initiated. And initiations in those days, first initiation was after 6 months. She'll probably increased it later on because there were a lot of devotees that didn't stay, so he increased that to wait for a year, and over the years and other things have been added in. We have many years later the disciple course was added as philosophical reasons why we do what we do. You got initiated, you want to be initiated, at least understand what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. So that was added in later on. I think it was very important. At least these days, no one can say, I got initiated, but I decided I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't know what I was doing, right? So that was a good addition over the years. Srila Prabhupada also, early on, he mentioned the idea of Bhakti Shastra, but by the time it was a real formal Bhakti Shastra program and course started appearing, that was much later. But it was also very important. Srila Prabhupada introduced that very early on, the idea early on. Even he said that the Bhakti Shastra was. He wasn't just Bhakti Shastra. He said Bhakti Shastra was the Bhagavad Gita, Nectar Devotion, Nectar Instruction, Shri Upanishad. He actually said all the small books, and Bhakti Vaibhava would be all that plus the first 6 cantos of Srimad-bhagavatam, and then Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti. What was next? Bhakti Vedanta, I think. Then that included all that plus the second 6 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Bhakti Sarvabhauma, which included all that plus the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, that was not added till later on, but when they said all this, Chaitanya Charitamrita was available. And then she'll probably compare that to being just like you go to college, you get your bachelor's degree, and then you get your master's degree, and then you get your PhD degree, like that. So he was saying, so we also have our different levels of degrees, and he encouraged it. So of course you can chant just chant Hare Krishna a lot and get that purification, and not everyone's inclined to study. But Srila Prabhupada would very much encourage that we do study these books and understand the philosophy, understand why we're doing what we're doing. And if we do understand, then we have that knowledge to give that knowledge to others. Because this is not a sentimental movement. Lord Chaitanya was criticized, you're just chanting and dancing. My advisors were criticizing. You're just chanting and dancing and observing you're just being sentimental, and you're not studying Vedanta. They criticize him like that. But some people could say the same thing to us. You're chanting and dancing. Oh, that's nice. It's fun and games, and you go out and sell flowers or something. They mixed us up with somebody else. We weren't so much doing flowers. Ours were books. But people saw us in different ways. But Srila Prabhupada wanted that for our benefit and for preaching purposes, we really learn the philosophy, really understand why we're doing what we're doing, so that we can also explain it to others. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we do what we do. It's not sentimental. This is not some whimsical idea that somebody just dreamed up a few years ago, and like that. But here's actually this why we're doing it. This is from the Srimad-bhagavatam, which is Srila Vyasa put it in writing 5,000 years ago. The Srimad-bhagavatam, in some form or other, has existed from the beginning. Even the instructions, when Lord Krishna gave knowledge to Lord Brahma, that was Srimad-bhagavatam, but it wasn't all this. Lord Brahma he's intelligent. In fact, his whole body is formed out of the element intelligence. Can you imagine how intelligent he is? So he could hear very little bit, essence of it, and understand. But that knowledge that knowledge he got was actually the Srimad-bhagavatam. And of course, that it's expanded, just like Srila Prabhupada took the verses and expanded with the purports. And Srila Vyasa took the Vedanta Sutra, which is the same knowledge, and explained it with the verses of the Srimad-bhagavatam. As the verses of the Srimad-bhagavatam are the commentary, the purport, so to speak, of the Vedanta Sutra, written by the same author. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada expanded on this. And of course, as we take this, we're not writing our own purports, but we take this and then we try to explain it so that people in general can understand this knowledge, the verses and purports of this Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and so on. Okay, I think I have to cut for today. So tomorrow we'll plan to continue with verse 4. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.